Yo, what's going on, guys? What am I kidding? There's like 2 people that watch this. Okay, so if you are watching this, it's because you saw the dastardly thumbnail and or title. And it is true, I did hit top 16 in the cat's tail using a Beto Kokomi deck. I will edit it in later, probably somewhere around here. No need to investigate that screenshot, but it is real. That's it. Yeah, I did reach top 16. That's a fact. It's not a lie. So I wanted to kind of go over a few of my games slash matchups with the deck in the tournament. I didn't save as much replays as I wanted to. Like, for example, I didn't save any replays against Tuizon, but I did save, I want to say 6-7 games that I think are kind of good games to review and watch. I want to split it up where each video is dedicated to a specific matchup. So there's going to be 2 matches of one matchup in this video. Probably will keep that format for the next few. Compared to, I guess, my other... I mean, when was the last time I made an analysis video? It was all the way back, maybe like 3.6. And I was playing matches in Arena of Champions instead of actual tournaments. So I was like clipping myself, destroying like people playing like decks that are not real. But now that I am fighting decks that are, I guess, meta, it's more interesting to watch because generally people playing meta decks, this isn't like a fact, but generally they have, I guess, more experience, and you know they'll be playing well as well. Let me see here. I don't know if I've got the black bars in the corner. It's to block out the names during the replays. Just because I did ask during, I guess not during, I just asked while kind of scripting this if it was a good idea for me to keep them in. And the general consensus seemed to be that really people might kind of get, I guess, I don't know if I would say offended or I guess insecure if their gameplay being analyzed. But yeah, the general consensus was that you should probably blur it out to be safe. And my focus isn't really going to be on who is playing the decks, though obviously it's kind of cool if you know that you're fighting a really good player, but I want the focus to kind of be on the gameplay itself. But I don't know, you can give me feedback, I guess. Me personally, I wouldn't care if I was in a video and my gameplay was being analyzed. I mean, you could censor my name out, probably wouldn't work because the viewers will see Beto and Kokomi and be like, oh, that's Clea, that's him. So you couldn't censor my name, it wouldn't work. But I wouldn't mind either way. I don't know, maybe if there's like a culture shift, I might start putting the names in. But for now, let's just leave it blurred out. I want to go over kind of the structure of the deck first before going into any of the matches. It's probably most similar to like Xingqiu, Chongyun, Razor. Obviously, you don't have a freeze threat, but you do have Beto's Burst, Thunder Beast Charge with the damage reduction, which doesn't work on every single attack, but it can add up a few times over the course of a game, and sometimes that ends up mattering. Your game plan is really just, you know, the usual combo game plan. Charge Beto's Burst up on rounds 1 and 2. And then depending on the deck you're facing or how much dice you need to win, you might want to delay that until the start of round 3. Or if you don't need to delay it to the start of round 3, you can pop the burst on round 2, and then you'll have a full set of dice on round 3 to play with in case you need to win that damage race. As for the character choices, I mean, Beto, Kokomi are there. One of the big weaknesses of this core is that they really don't have a way to pressure the opponent early game. Like, Kokomi has low personal damage. Beto's personal damage is like okay, but because her highest damage skill is a prepare skill, if someone wants to protect their character, they can just swap off. Tartaglia solves that issue because, you know, the Riptide mechanic just lets him deal really big damage on his own. He has a strong elemental burst. He has access to King Squire. Games are never over if Tartaglia has a King Squire. Like, he can deal 30 damage all by himself. It's kind of crazy. And he's also Hydro, which gives me access to Wovens. and the Hydra Resonance here. I've tried like other anchors like to kind of run a more standard rainbow list, but none of them really have, I guess, the consistency of Tartaglia. Like, to replace Tartaglia's role, you would need a character that doesn't need reactions to deal high amounts of damage, and they would want to probably have a nuke burst as well. Like, I was trying out maybe like Alhaitham, but his damage is honestly kind of low. What else? Not a lot of characters. There's not a lot of characters that fit that spot. I think Tartaglia is the best, and it might seem weird to kind of run Woven over like the magic package, but I mean, it's still pretty good. Obviously, you got Kingsguard there for Tartaglia. You don't have as, I guess, big of a high roll as like a hyper magic. I guess it's still a thing. Hyper magic kind of combo deck. So I like to run 2 gamblers, mainly for consistency, though you sometimes do use the second gambler, especially because you have rhythm in the deck to make it free. Kavrena, even though you don't have War Princess, a very good form of card draw. So yeah, we want to include 2 of those. Chef Mao is a very good value engine that you kind of have access to. Normally, something like Sing Cho, Chong, and Razor doesn't have the space to include Chef Mao because they just have War Princess, Lyra, Sonic Gilded, all that funny rainbow stuff. But when you're running a Resonance deck, oh, well, now I have space. It's a very small food package. Lotus, I would say pretty necessary as a one of. You don't always need bonus dice to do your actions. If you have, like, for example, Hunt or Wovens or, all that kind of stuff, you might want HP instead. Having 1 Lotus is always great. Northern Smoked Chicken, when you have Chef Mao on the field from a previous round, this thing, it literally gives you a whole other action. Like, I'm talking 3 dice worth. Like, you play this with 2 Chef Maos on the field, and you'll just get cheap normal attack and 2 more dice. Minty Meat Rolls we have just 1 of, because you don't really need more than 1, to be honest. It will only surpass Northern Smoked Chicken after like 2 normal attacks. On the second normal attack, it will be the same value as a Northern Smoked Chicken. Like, really, what game do you need to attack 3 times in a row across 2 rounds, and you need to have that extra die? Like, I don't know, I feel like you don't really need more than 1. And it might seem weird to run Chef Mao with such a small food package here, but you have enough draw, like Strategize, Lumenstone, Chang, Heart, Sealy. You have enough draw to grab either Chef Mao first or the food first. It's very rare that you brick this package. You would have to draw your Chef Mao's early and all your food late, which is pretty unlikely. So that is pretty effective. Chang, Sealy, pretty standard stuff. Lumenstone. Liben I like to have as a one of. Not necessarily to float dice all in 1 round, but I found that he's really nice to float dice on round 1. Like, maybe you'll have like 1 or 2 left over, and then around 2 you just fill the rest of him. So you don't really give 3 dice to him at once, though it does come up. You could probably replace him with like Vanarana if you really want, but I found that the card draw from Liben was really nice. Yeah, don't need to explain Chang. Kokomi can also cleanse to trigger Chang. This deck is more, it's less of a Kokomi hyper carry deck and more of a deck that uses Kokomi as kind of an answer to specific matchups. Like, I guess against Fatuizan, I mean, all the times I fought it in Cat's Tail Gathering, I didn't fight a single Fatuizan that led like Faruzan to try and counter lead Kokomi's cleanse. Like, most of them just went Linny, and then I got my free cleanse off. But yeah, so like in like aggro matchups, combo usually struggles against aggro because it's like, well, how do I stop their pressure on rounds 1 and 2? Obviously, Kokomi doesn't work against all forms of aggro, but having a character that you can kind of just sit on and be comfortable taking damage with it's nice. And then obviously, if she does stay alive, it's like, well, nice. I can be annoying soak damage for Tartaglia in the late game for him to finish off the sweep. Or it can work the other way around as well, because Kokomi always deals higher damage with her normal attack. So she can potentially start Gambler's Chains and continue them better than Tartaglia, depending on, I guess, how much dice you have left in your hand. So that's that. You could run Covenant instead of Stove, I guess. Covenant is nice when you don't, I guess, have as much card draw. Maybe if you haven't played Hunt yet. Covenant can be better on like a round 3 kill, for example. But on round 4, like on rounds 4 and onward, which can come up against like stall, Stove pulls ahead pretty comfortably, I would say. And drawing even just like one copy of your treasures with Stove is really good. But I think Covenant is fine as well. Hydra Res, I only run one of it because you really don't want to see the second one like ever. Like if you have 2 in your starting hand, it just feels so bad. You just cannot play it. I guess kind of the same deal with Liban as well. Like, you don't really ever float 6 dice with this deck. And you can kind of live, I guess, without getting him on round 1. So I only run one of him, only one Hydras. I haven't lost yet is, I guess... I think Xingqiu Chong Razor has kind of cut it, but I don't think it's bad there. And it's not bad here either. Letting Tartaglia burst a turn earlier is nice. Calx is, I guess, the standout weird choice. Like, why would you have Calx in combo? It's, again, mainly as kind of like a tech option against those bad matchups, but it's honestly not bad in your good matchups either. Like, again, when Kokomi is using her skill to cleanse, or honestly, sometimes she doesn't even need to cleanse. If she can just, like, take, like, a reaction, like a Vaporize one, you just be like, okay, whatever. And then you get that jellyfish on the field to heal you and apply Hydro for Beto to trigger Electro-Targed with Tide Caller. Calx can take Kokomi's energy and give it to Beto and let her burst pretty smoothly against aggro. And it might seem like it seems weird because it's like, oh, well, now Kokomi can't get her burst, but honestly, she doesn't really get it anyways. So having Calx, it seems weird, but this has won me quite a lot of games, and it feels really good to have as a one-off option. And in slower games where you don't need Calx to grab Kokomi's energy for Beto, you can grab Kokomi's energy for Tartaglia, or if Beto normals once after getting her burst off, you can steal Beto's energy with it. It's a pretty nice option. It feels really nice to play. Rhythm of the Great Dream, it doesn't have very many targets, but the main draw of it is that it triggers Lumenstone. You don't actually have to use its effect during the round. It's just the next time you play an artifact. Again, only 3 targets. It might, like, it sounds sus, but you play with it, and it just feels so smooth to get those Lumenstone procs, and when you don't have as much, I guess, flexible 0-cost cards running a Resonance combo deck, then having something like Rhythm is really nice. You could try Sunyata. The main thing with Sunyata, though, is that you don't really have a target for it. Like, you don't really want to destroy your Sealies. I guess you could destroy a Chang late game, and you don't really want to destroy Mao, I guess, until after you've kind of used his food effect. It makes more sense when you have, like, Donyerzad, because you can just destroy Donyerzad. Like, literally only does Count Chef Mouse. You don't need a second Donyerzad. You can just destroy it. But the thing also about Rhythm compared to Sunyata is that Rhythm is just a fast woven. Like, Sunyata can give you a free Sealy, but it's like, well, if I'm not going to survive for 3 more attacks since Sunyata's not doing anything, whereas, Rhythm can give me, like, a die so that I get a free Gamblers. It's just a free +1. Now I can use that. Now that I have the extra die, I can use it on like a Hydra Res or something, and then I survive, and then I win like that. So that's why I chose to run Rhythm here. Hunt I've only chosen to run one of as well. You don't really honestly need it for like super tough matchups. It's like really necessary against stall, I think, but honestly you can just win games with like your food engine and Gamblers and Tartaglia doing Tartaglia things. So yeah, that is the deck layout. For this video, I guess we'll get into the actual, okay, who are you fighting in this video? This video is going to be 2 matches against Mona, Eula, Sayu. So I'm gonna pause it right here, and I will be back with the match in just a moment. Okay, we are back with my first match against Mess. So let's go over the matchup kind of first before we watch any part of the replay. Mess is this kind of newer variant of Mew, which is Mona, Eula, Wander instead of Mona, Eula, Sayu. It's kind of risen in popularity just because, like, Mew kind of had this, I guess, reputation for being a bit luck dependent, where you really want a lot of ramp in your opener, ways to kind of carry over your dice from round 1 to round 2. That way Wanderer can make use of all of them, start swirling, and then put Hydra on everyone, and then Eula can finish everyone off with Frozen. Sayu has started to get more popular, kind of with the, I guess, addition of Crab. Sayu is very good against the Emperor of Fire and Iron, I guess is the actual name. Partially because one, she's a Claymore user. So Wanderer was a Catalyst user, and he really wanted to have a weapon, but he and Eula don't share the same weapon. So you were kind of forced to run a Wagner so that you could effectively play two different weapons. But with Sayu, she also uses Wolf's Gravestone. So, and Wolf's Gravestone is like the best 3-cost weapon in the game. And the other 3-cost Claymores are, they're kind of eh. Like Sacrificial Greatsword is okay. Beacon of the Reed Sea is eh. It's like eh. But honestly, it's like Wolf's Gravestone alone is just like so overpowered. So you don't really need Wagner. You can replace Wagner with just like efficient card draw, and you'll just draw. You can aim for Wolf's Gravestone only. Some people run Wagner still. I don't know. I feel like Wagner is not really that good in mess, just because the other weapons aren't as high quality as Wolf's Gravestone. It's not really worth running Wagner and 2 other weapons just for that. What else? When it comes to Sayu's differences compared to Wanderer, Sayu cannot chain swirls as consistently. Her prepare skill, the way it works is that it does anima damage on both hits, but if you swirl the first hit, it'll deal whatever element you swirled on the second hit instead of anima. So you can dodge that swirl by going to a character. Like, she'll trigger the swirl reaction with her first hit, right? And then you can swap to a character with that element. Usually it's Hydra, so I'll swap to a character with Hydro. They'll eat the second hit, and then I can swap back to that first character who now no longer has an element on them. And then Sayu's value kind of starts to drop there because she has no way to really get the swirl going again. Like, they can go back to Mona, but then even then, just forcing them to attack with Mona again to get that chain going is pretty nice. Whereas with Wanderer, he doesn't really have to worry about his swirl chain being stopped as much. He can react to whatever you do with either elemental skill or normal attack. You can force him to have a lot of aligned dice by continually putting him in positions where he's forced to use the elemental skill. But the other difference between Wanderer and Sayu is that his elemental burst is very strong, and it's definitely a big threat when you're fighting Wanderer. If he has a weapon, then and he has wind favored stacks, his elemental burst is like 9 damage. It is really hard to deal with. And he can also tech in stuff like Calix's Arts to steal Mona's energy so it can threaten it early. It's kind of a nightmare to deal with if you don't have the proper deck. Whereas Sayu's energy is just useless. You don't use it ever. And you don't really want to use Calx to take advantage of it either, because neither Mona's burst nor Eula's bursts really come into play. They're not really necessary to your game plan. So one other thing, I guess, is that Sayu's talent gives you access to really good free card draw, whereas Mew doesn't really have that same option. I mean, well, you're not going to Wanderer's challenge. It's just not good. I think it's like overpriced, and it's like you have to do a charge attack with his normal, and then when you switch for free and you do one anima, but it's just not really what Mona Eula is trying to do. You really just want that swirl and trying to get everyone low so that Eula can finish them off with Wolf's Gravestone. But yeah, Mew, I guess, has traditionally kind of steamrolled Combo, because Combo doesn't really have a good way to knock Wanderer out of that active character spot, because usually you have like a setup unit and then 2 carries, but getting that setup, you usually get it as early as round 3 or the end of round 2, and by the end of round 2, Wanderer's already got all his value. But with Sayu, because she has the prepare skill, her damage output is a little bit slower, and again, just due to the nature of their kits, she cannot chain swirls as easily. What we want to do here in this matchup, you don't want to play standard. If you play your standard, just like charge Beto, kind of don't really pay attention to what they're doing, you're going to lose. Your best bet to winning this kind of matchup with this deck is to use Tartaglia. He can pressure Sayu pretty well. The main thing you want to try and do is get 2 energy on Tartaglia round 1. That way on round 2, when they switch to Sayu, he can just go for Elemental Skill into Elemental Burst, which is exact lethal. His skill will do 2. It will apply Riptide. He'll be in the melee stance, and then when he uses melee Elemental Burst, he'll lose 7 plus 1 because Sayu has Riptide, and then Sayu just dies. She will get 1 roll-off, but 1 kind of use of her Elemental Skill is not high value. It's not the kind of output you want from Sayu. she has so much potential, but her value kind of drops off a cliff when she doesn't have a weapon, which I guess is another advantage for like Wanderer. He doesn't like, he can function without a weapon. Like he's not, obviously he really wants one, but Sayu is hurt more by not having a weapon. I guess partially because also since her elemental skill is a prepare skill with 2 hits, she kind of double dips on that damage, so she gets a lot more from a weapon compared to Wanderer, though Wanderer also really does like it. So again, you want to get those 2 energy on round 1 with Tartaglia, and it's pretty easy to do that because Mona, Eula, Sayu is not going to pressure you on round 1. Really, they just want to skill and then ramp. You do want to be a little careful of like a round 1 swirl, but they would need like 6 aligned dice to do that, so it's not very likely. But you know, it's mess, like they can just high roll and get everything, so you want to play around that if you can, right? But if you can, if you can float 8, I say float 8, but this deck doesn't really have a way to do that. At best, it's like kind of like float 5. You would need a very favorable outcome to float 8 with this deck. You would need like, when I say this deck, I mean the deck that I'm using, Beto, Kokomi, Tartaglia. You would want, like, you would need like double Lumenstone, double Libin, and then like double, I guess if you don't end first, maybe like double Strategize. But like you also have to play around the threat of a round 1 swirl. So it's very hard to actually float 8 with this deck. But if you can get into a position where you're not really wasting your dice and you can end round 1 without giving Sayu the chance to swirl, then you can go into round 2. Like you might not have as much energy with Tartaglia, but you can go into round 2 with like, you can go into round 2 and start just swapping around your characters that don't have Hydra on them and keep forcing Mona to waste a bunch of dice. And then with your dice advantage, you can start clapping back with like Beta or Tartaglia, depending on what you kind of need or are able to go for. Kokomi is kind of dead weight in this matchup, unfortunately. Her, even like honestly using her elemental skill, like it gives you obviously the hydro for them, so you don't want to give them a free swirl, but also like even if you skill with hydro already on her, like the summon usually just doesn't give her the value fast enough to really be worth it, especially because Tartaglia is kind of your main damage dealer. He'll already be applying hydro, so if you use Kokomi's elemental skill, she will just over apply it. So you really don't, like, all you want Kokomi to do is just take 10 HP worth of damage. I'm sorry, but it's true. She doesn't do much in this matchup. But yeah, that's our opener. We want to try and give Tartaglia a lot of field time to snipe Sayu, ride out Eula's momentum with HP on our other characters, and then once he runs out of auras to play with, we hopefully have enough resources of our own to take the win. So let's actually start watching this. Here's my mulligan. Art is pretty good, Chang is pretty good. What we really want from our mulligan is just card draw. But you want to throw back Stove because it's not useful until like round 3 and round 4. You'd rather draw into it naturally. Leave It to Me isn't useful early either. Really the earliest you want to fast up again is like round 3, so I just throw it back here and I guess hope to get it back later when a situation arises where I actually need to fast swap. Gamblers, it's not the worst thing round 1, but I have the option to throw it back, so I'm going to. Again, it's not useful really until the later parts of the game. Like it's like an okay way to float a 1 die on round 1 if you need to, but I just throw that back here. Let's see, I get Sealy, which is really good. I get Treasure Hunt, which is also pretty good for, I guess, if you want to float 8. You can throw the hunt down, and it works really well with Sealy and Chang as well, because you can throw it down right before they pop, and then you have a chance to draw into a lot of treasures really fast. Lotus is good as well. It's not good round 1, but having a way to kind of just blank 3 damage for 1 die is pretty good, and my other cards are already pretty decent, so I'm pretty happy with this opener. It's okay. We'll take a look at his opener as well. Let's see. He's got also another pretty decent opener. He can go for Mona's skill, Tamea's Sacred Sword in your round, right? Easy peasy. Golden Shroop is like not really used in mess. Like you might think, oh well, I can put on Eula and then she's always off field, right? So she'll get the 2 points really easily. But kind of it's really just more efficient to run Heart for the card draw, especially because like Heart is not, like Golden Shroop is kind of dead late game without Board Princess, whereas Heart can just give you free card draw late game. Like it's always gonna get value. Then maybe that heart will draw into a Burn Princess. Okay, now I can do my funny stuff. Whereas Golden Troop it's like kind of a brick. You really have better things to be equipping on Sayu and Eula. Usually Gilded is efficient enough. Gamblers is also good too. Sealy is also not really a good card in Mess. Just because you want all your cards before you start doing skills. Like you'll skill once with Mona on round 1, and then on round 2 you'll skill with Sayu for the first time. So that's like what? You have 2 stacks of Sealy, which is not really enough to do what you want. So usually if you're running 1 cost draw in Mess, it is going to be strategized because it's immediate.
As the stars foretold.
So we go for again Tartaglia because we want to get that energy charged. My opponent here gets a little unlucky with the dice. Not only does he not have enough for elemental skill, he doesn't have enough dice to play either. He doesn't have enough dice to play both Sacrificial Greatsword and Timaeus. So he has to pick one or the other. And he doesn't have a way to kind of tune effectively to like try and play both either. Like even if you tune both like Troop and Sealy, like you really just don't have the aligned dice for Timaeus. He kept 3 Pyro. Maybe you could have re-rolled 1. Because, like, worst case scenario, you don't get an aligned die and then you just play Timaeus only. But, yeah. He, unfortunately, doesn't get the best dice. I don't get great dice either. Oh, wow, I can see my... Oh, well, okay, it's just here. I get 2 Hydro. If you can skill round 1, you probably want to go for it. Just because you can start dealing Riptide chip damage to Sayu. Usually the character order for Mess is just this, kind of left to right game plan. And then if Mona gets like overloaded, okay, well I'm already on Sayu. Like, thank you for giving me a free switch to Sayu. I really appreciate that. But it kind of backfires on them in this specific matchup because Riptide will start dealing chip damage to Sayu if you attack into Mona. So if you can go for like skill normal attack on Mona round 1, it's just a free point of damage on Sayu. Like why not, right? Here I only get 2 Hydro dice, but I'm pretty okay with just going for like 2 regular attacks. I don't need to apply Hydro or Riptide on Mona to do my thing. So go for a normal attack here. He decides to play Timaeus, and he gets Instructors. He plays a Sealy as well. Obviously, you can't really play Sacrificial Greatsword at this point, so you really just want to try and get your engine going. Like, he's probably gonna concede to just skill here. About the Instructors that he drew, Instructors is good with Wanderer as the Anemo unit because he has a lot more consistency in chaining those swirls. So this can generate a ton of dice with Wanderer, whereas with Sayu, again, because you can dodge the swirl, it's very difficult for her to get more than 1 count of this, unless I guess the opponent's ended their round and they just let Sayu go crazy. Then Instructors can let you snowball harder, but it's not as consistent when you're using Sayu compared to Wanderer. I draw Gamblers from my heart, and I could just normal attack again, but I kind of figure I want to try and, you know, deny his swirl. So I go for Hunt, and I go for Gamblers. I'm taking this alternate route where, okay, well, I'm in a bit of a fortunate position where my opponent is unable to end their round while guaranteeing a swirl. So he has to waste 2 dice. He just has no way to use them, which is pretty bad. With Mess, your opener is kind of king if you don't have a good opener. Well, all decks need a good opener, but with Mess more so, because if you cannot threaten like more than 2 actions on Sayu within a round, it starts to get really fishy when it comes to outputting your damage efficiently. So I decided to go for the disruption play here and start swapping around his swirls instead. Rhythm Gamblers for me, not really useful right now. He gets, I believe, he gets Chang and Sealy. Chang, I've seen some people run it in Mess, but I don't see the hype. I'm sorry, bro. Like, this does not trigger consistently with Sayu. You get like maybe 1 stack. You're really relying on your opponent to use this. But I've seen people use it, so I don't know. Maybe I'm just capping. But I don't know. I don't like Chang the 9th in Mess. Let's see. I believe he gets pretty okay dice here. Yeah, he gets enough for a Sayu's skill. Not enough for a Mona skill though. So he has to tune. Actually, okay, I take it back. Yeah, because I'm gonna switch here. So you want a Mona skill, so he'll have to tune again. But he can probably just tune like Chang or something. Yeah, I think he tunes Chang here. Oh, he plays Chang. Oh, he tunes Sealy. Okay.
Shadows of fate.
Oh yeah, I remember because he has Ancient Courtyard, so he can always go like swap Sayu Courtyard and then skill, which gives him a ton of momentum, and it'll trigger his card draw there too. Yeah, I forgot. I think I got confused with the other replay. But yeah, he has that option by not playing Sealy instead, or you can just just pay full cost for the Great Sword and then maybe use the Courtyard on like a Gilded Lake game or a Wolf's Gravestone. But I'm just gonna keep switching here. Again, I don't want to give him the swirl as much as possible. So I go to Beto, and he just goes for Sag Great Sword and ends his round again. Has to waste another 2 dice, which is again kind of unfortunate. Well, I guess depending on how you feel about Mess, maybe that is fortunate. Maybe you just feel like so jubilant when you see this Mess player being forced to float 2 dice every round, and you're just so happy about that. That's okay. We're not biased here. I'm not biased here, right? You know. So we're gonna call it unfortunate on this channel, even though I don't play Mess. Now here I have 6 dice of Beto to play with. I would really like to go back to Tartaglia and start throwing off some attacks that charges energy again. But the problem is I don't have enough dice to attack more than once with him. I only have 6, and I need 7 because I want to swap to him, and that costs 1 dice. So I have to attack with Beto. I go for Tidecaller first, just because it's free +1 damage. It gets Electro App on Mona, which can be pretty useful late game. And the Chang, it does delay my Chang proc a bit, but after I normal attack here, I'll be at 0 dice. So even if I did activate Chang, it's not like I would really be able to play the cards I get from him. Besides maybe a treasure, but Beto's at full HP. And his swirl with Sayu will probably trigger it anyway, so I'm completely fine with delaying it a bit. I really don't need those cards from him this round. I get my first treasure, which is nice. I get Sealy, which is nice if I have the spare die to continue drawing cards with it. It's nice to have as an option. Chicken has kind of a woven there. It's also nice. So pretty good draw from Sealy there. Let's see. Yeah, now he's guaranteed a swirl. He's going to start round 3 first. I get even more treasure. How much cards do I have left in my deck? Let me see. 23. I think that's pretty lucky because it's distributed randomly, and I've already drawn half of it. So maybe someone can crush numbers. I don't know the exact statistics, but it is pretty fortunate to be able to grab those treasures early because it lets me stay out of range of his Sayu much more easily. Let's see, the cards he got were Lyre Song and Lotus. Lotus it's annoying for me to deal with because it forces Tartaglia to kind of take an extra action to KO Sayu most of the time. If you can get like Sayu down to like 8 HP from like Electro-Targed or like just Riptide, Lotus doesn't matter because Sayu will die either way. But unfortunately, Sayu is at full health here. So this Lotus is going to be really annoying for me. Lyre Song is good when you have Gilded. He doesn't have Gilded yet, though. It's not really effective with Instructor's Cap. You would really want to... Because Instructor's Cap activates up to 3 times, so you would want to refresh it after those have been exhausted, but he's definitely not going to use his skill 3 times this round. Or at least not trigger reaction to 3 times. So he's going to get the first move here, I believe. Yeah, he's just going to go straight to Sayu and start swirling. I can deny this swirl again. Let's see what cards he got. He gets, I believe, I think it's like, yeah, Wagner and Beacon. I already explained why I don't really like Wagner, and I already explained why I don't really like Beacon, so we're not going to go over that. He gets another Lyre Song, but again, no Gilded yet, so not a good draw for him right now, but, you know, once his draw reaches a critical mass, he has all the pieces. So these are pieces to his puzzle. Lyre Song is a piece to the puzzle. It's not completed yet, though. I draw from my Ching as well because of his reaction. I get my 4th treasure. Yeah, I'm pretty lucky. Pretty lucky there. I'll take that. I have to swap to Kokomi here, again, because he's not really doing much without Beto Burst. So until that goes up, I don't really care about Kokomi.
Alright, let's go.
I take that Hydra damage. I go back to Beto, and he just skills again. It's going to deal... It's going to hurt. I have the option of going, like, normal attack into burst with the chicken, and I can play silly too and get 2 dice worth. But I also don't really want to give him like a gambler's kill. Simplifying the game state to 2v2 early is pretty bad against a deck that has a freeze threat, because your only option after getting frozen is to swap. And if you have less characters alive, you have less characters to swap to, and you might end up wasting a ton of dice. So I opt to protect Beto instead. I use Lotus, and then I use the treasure to give me another dice so that I can threaten her burst this round. It might seem like kind of a waste, but I really don't have another way to effectively use these 3 dice. If I had like a Libin, it would be perfect. Like, I'm totally fine plopping down Libin. I'll only be down like 1 dice and I'll get more cards. So I can draw onto like Treasure, I can draw onto Woven still. I can draw onto like Chef Mao, which would be pretty decent as well. But unfortunately I don't have Libin here. So I have to burst this round. If I like skill and then burst next round, like it's going to be way too slow. I really need the burst up now because I'm starting to fall behind in the damage race a little bit. But I am chipping down Sayu a decent amount. Let's see. It's a Chang. What did he get Chang? Oh, because I think it was his other Sealy. No, what drew him that card? It was no, it was the Sealy. It was the Sealy. Because he drawed most Gravestone as well. Or he gets Opera here and Libin. Libin's not really useful at this point in the game. I mean, really Wagner is kind of more efficient way to float. And at this point you can start throwing with Sayu to the point where you don't really need to dump more than like 2-3 dice on ramp to maintain your momentum. Opera is not as common in Mesh. I don't think it's common in Mew either. But Opera, you know, it's like a little slower than like Golden House, so people usually run just like Golden House instead, because Opera just goes even on the round you play, whereas Golden House can just be a Woven. But that being said, it is really easy for Sayu to trigger this with how much she likes to grab equipment. I draw another treasure and a Woven, which is very good for me. That's like, what, 5 treasures in, I think, like 10 cards? I think maybe more than that. Maybe like 11 or 12. But yeah, I just love high rolling treasure. It's really fun. These dice are like fine. They're good enough. Obviously, you kind of want them to be a little better, but I can manage. He gets, I believe, not great dice here. Those for Opera, it's free dice fixer. Now, I was aware of Wagner last round, so I didn't know, okay, he probably has Wolf's Gravestone at this point. But what I didn't expect was for him to equip it on Sayu. And I'm like, oh crap, like this is really bad now. Even though he doesn't have an element on Beto, like this is dealing so much damage. I could have avoided it, I guess, by going like a treasure to put Beto at 7 HP instead of 6. And then I just spend the last die on like a treasure seeking Celia or something. But I really didn't think he would play Wagner on... I didn't think he would play Wolf's Gravestone on Sayu. I was just like, you're like, I already have a weapon on Sayu. Why are you playing it on her? But this does put a good amount of pressure on me. So I have to burn 2 treasures here. If I had treasured last round, I could have not had to use any treasures this round on Beto to keep her alive. But unfortunately, I do. I have to treasure twice. But thankfully, Thunderbeast's charge is putting in some nice work here. Blocked 1 damage from the first hit. 1 damage from... Will block 1 damage from the second. The Lotus is annoying, but I can manage because he's already pretty low. So I normal attack again, just because swapping is not really an option here. It's pretty, it'll give him a free swirl, and he was at 5 HP, so I wouldn't be able to like threaten a kill right after. So yeah, if he goes for a skill again here, like a prepare skill, I can just attack again. Or it'll kill Beto, and I just get a free swap to whoever I want. And he's pretty low on dice. The thing I kind of have to worry about still is like Gilded Lyre Song, the Boar Princess. Like, he can still have a lot of dice in his hand, which is kind of unfortunate. Like if he Boar Princesses, like he just gets the free dice from Sayu falling, which can be really bad. He goes for a Lyre Song on Sayu and equips the instructors on Eula. So, like, this kind of tells me a few things. One, it tells me that Gamblers is probably not in play, because he would have just equipped it, right, on Sayu, get his free dice. But because he didn't, it also kind of tells me that he doesn't have Gilded, because the thing with playing Gamblers first is that you can't use Tamace again for that round. He's only a once per round, I want to say discount. It's technically not a discount. It's a like cost replacement. That's relevant when you're talking about support zone activation order. But anyways, you can only use him once per round, so it'd be more efficient to like spend all 3 stacks on like Gilded, right, for free, get 2 dice, and then Gamblers. And then you get like an actual extra action. But he didn't do that. And it also tells me that he probably doesn't have Boar Princess, because Sayu is definitely dying here. He should be able to see that. So if he had War Princess, he should have played it there and just gotten a free die, right? But he didn't. So he probably doesn't have War Princess either. So that's one action. It's told me 3 pieces of information that like I can like reasonably assume, and I'm right. Obviously, I don't know for certain. Like, maybe he plays it afterwards, but it's not as efficient. So after he takes the kill on Beidou, it gives me like an opportunity. Oh well, it kind of fast forwarded. I can go to Tartaglia, and I figure that like the best play here, like he can still have like it would be a 500 IQ play to Lyre Song and like bluff no Gilded, and then you actually have Gilded. But it's like not actually like I think the right play, because like let's say you take the freeze on Eula, right? Like I'll take my kill with Tartaglia. I will kill Sayu, put Mona at 3, Eula at 9. If he goes for Gilded to freeze Tartaglia, I can swap to Kokomi. I'll be at 2 dice. I can use Chicken to get a normal attack from Kokomi on Eula. That'll put Eula down from 7 to 4. Piercing will deal 1 damage to Mona, who will be at 2. Then I can use Treasure. Well, I'd probably use Treasures on Tartaglia first to heal him back up. So I would do it on Tartaglia before swapping to Kokomi. Then I would use my Woven. I could actually hide the Chicken then in that case too. I could Woven and then Chicken, and then like that's exactly enough dice for another normal attack, which would put Eula at what am I saying? No, she would be at 9, 6, 3. She'd be at 3, not 7. I think it's a 7. No, she'll be at 3, and Mona will be at 1. And like in that scenario, Tartaglia would be like, it would be a 3 HP Eula, a 1 HP Mona against a 5 HP Kokomi, and he would freeze me. So the freeze would deal 2 + 1, 3. But Tartaglia down to 5, but I used to charge on him. So he'd be 7 HP still. 7 HP Tartaglia, 5 HP Kokomi versus a Mona and a Eula. And while this is happening, like the Riptide that I take from the kill here, it'll go on to Eula. So Eula will be in range of Tartaglia's like normal attack or skill, I guess. So taking the kill here with Gilded, or taking the freeze here with Gilded, is like, it's not like he doesn't know what's in my hand, right? So he wouldn't know that it's not a good play. But you also can't not take the kill, because I have enough dice to do like so much damage anyways. Like I'll skill, right? I'll be at 3. I'll attack again into like Eula. You can't go Mona, because Mona just dies, and then I just like burst on Eula and she dies. So we'd have to go Eula, right? And then I normal again on Eula. He would take 5 damage, and then I just pulled 2 treasures and 1 Woven out of my butt, and I kill Eula. So he's goobed like 100%, no matter what he does here. So we will see it happen here. I take the kill with Tartaglia. He has to go Eula for a chance, but he goes Mona. I don't know why. But maybe he just thought I didn't have enough. Not that he thought, he surely should have seen I had 3 dice left to attack again. He really should have gone Eula and just hoped I didn't have the bonus dice in my hand. But yeah. Actually, wait, I didn't even need to treasure. I forgot Gamblers, so this is free. So yeah, I just burst with the Tagli here, and that is a win. Again, a pretty tough matchup. like, I won that one, but you don't want to use one match as gospel, right? But I was able to take advantage of my own luck with the treasures and take advantage of his misplays. I was able to take a win there with the kind of alternate attacking route. That is floating dice on round 1, getting Tartaglia burst a little later to just make him waste more dice, and it worked out. You definitely could have had some better action card choices, maybe made a few better plays, but yeah, thankfully we were able to take that one. It was pretty close, even though he floated a lot of dice in the early rounds and made a few misplays. But, you know, the TCG, playing to your outs is, you know, you have to do it, right? Like some games you just can't win, but you always want to play for that infinitesimally small chance. I think that's the word. I mean, we were able to get it here. So that was a very nice win. I'm gonna cut ahead to the next match because once I go back, it will show the names again. But yeah, I will cut this right here and see you in just a second. Okay, I have the next match here. Again, it's also against Mona, Eula, Sayu, but it's not against the same person. It's against a different person. But like, you know, no matter who I'm fighting, you know, if they're using Mona, Eula, Sayu, I kind of just, I die a little inside. Like all these matches, I'm just stressing, dude, because it's like any extreme high roll will just destroy me, and I have to be so careful of like a bunch of things. But we'll see how it works out here. So my opener is pretty like good, right? Because I've got double Lumenstone, I've got a Chang, so I have like already I have a way to get 2 out of 3 kind of cards played for the first Lumenstone. I was a little iffy on whether or not I should throw back both. Just because like I might not be able to trigger the second one. Like I can still go for my Tartaglia opener. Oh, I should probably mention this. I switched you'll notice the previous match, the character order was different. It was Beto on the left. I at least sat down. It wasn't after but after that match specifically, but like I think maybe like 2/3 of the way through the tournament, I kind of sat down and I was like, okay, is this character order actually the best? And I sat down and I thought about like all the kind of meta decks that have where the kind of meta decks where character order matters. And I sat down and thought about it, I'm like, okay, Tartaglia, Kokomi, Beto is a better character order against pretty much, I want to say pretty much everything except like a Lynette talent. When you want to think in character order, really the main threats are like Overload and a forced swap. So like when it comes to like a Wander, for example, you always want Wander attacking Kokomi when Tartaglia is active. You don't really want Beto being hit while Kokomi is active, but you're never going to Kokomi against Water anyways. You're not really going to Beto against Wanderer as well that much. So really that order is only relevant when Tartaglia is active, and if it's Beto, Kokomi, Tartaglia, Wanderer will hit Beto when Tartaglia is active, and Beto is better than Kokomi in those kinds of matchups. So that's why I made that change. There's like other reasons too, but that was the main reason. It's like, okay, Wanderer. Overloaded also kind of, it depends. Like it kind of works well because if Kokomi gets overloaded, you're right back on Beto, and if Kokomi's active, it means you probably used your skill. So Beto can start taking advantage of that Hydra application from the jellyfish, the Bake Kurage. And if Beto gets overloaded onto Child, then if you have Beto burst up, Child just gets a free swap. Okay, that is a little off topic. Back to the opener. I was not really sure if I should keep the other Lumenstone. Like obviously my opener, right, is like Child 2 attacks, and then we Bing Chilling, but I don't have the 0-cost cards in hand right now to enable the second Lumenstone. So I ended up choosing to throw back just Stove and Hydra Rest. I wanted to try and keep the other Lumenstone. And I get pretty good cards here. Mao early is nice. Sealy early is really nice. So what I'm seeing here immediately is I figured that I'll probably have to not play Lumenstone on the first round. Just go like Tartaglia, and then just go like Sealy 2 attacks with Chang. And then on round 2, when I get a bunch of cards, I can potentially play Sealy. I can potentially play Lumenstones first, and then trigger them with the cards that I draw. So I believe here, I think I start Kokomi, because he gets the coin flip for the first move.
We'll need a strategy.
And And I figure, like, because I'm not going to play Lumistone this round, I'll play Sealy, right? So Sealy into attacks on Tartaglia is 7 dice, and I have 8. So if I can take 1 damage off Tartaglia and put it onto Kokomi, who isn't really going to be useful, like, I might as well, because I'm not going to be able to get Lumistone off this round with my usual opener. Again, going for Hydro Dice here. I get 3. I don't think I tune. Yeah, well, I don't tune for another reason. Okay, but you might think my opener is like pretty okay, right? You know, you got double Lumistone like as an option, but you probably won't get to use it. Right? Let's look at this guy's opener, right? Okay, so he has 2 Luminstones, and then he has like the easiest way to trigger it ever. He just goes double Luminstone, Gilded, Lyre Song, Libin, and then he's triggered both. Okay, so Lumin is 2, Lumin is 2. He goes down to 4. Gilded Dreams puts him down to 1. You play. It doesn't put him down to 1. It puts him down to 3, I guess, technically. Puts him down to 3. You play Libin. Your first Luminstone activates. You're at 4. You Lyre Song. Luminstone number 2 puts you up to 5. You re-equip Gilded on Mona. Or, I guess not necessarily Mona. Depends on the dice that you kind of get. But probably Mona. I guess you would have to be safe so you can get the dice for elemental skill. Then you'll be at 6 dice. Both your Luminstones draw cards. And you have Libin. So you just skill. You just double Luminstone, Gilded, Lyre Song, Libin. You skill on Mona, and you have just like the most godlike opener ever. Like you won, right? So I don't know this yet. He gets the first move. I see him play the Luminstones, and I'm like, oh no, this is really bad. I see him play Libin. I'm like, oh no, right? Like surely, like just one, right? He procs neither. I don't know if maybe they just didn't see the Luminstone proc because it should have worked. Like, he would have 2 Omni die and 4 Hydra, so you skill for 3. And then you have 2 Omni and 1 Hydra, which are charged Libin fully. So I think he just didn't see this. So this is such a good opener. And he didn't get it. He didn't see it. If he had gotten this opener, I probably would have just lost. I don't think you would have seen it in the video. Because, you know, like, if the reason you lost was just because luck, you didn't even get a chance to like have outs, you know, is there like a lot to glean? Is it really fun to watch? Maybe it's a little depressing to watch. But yeah, he doesn't get it. He doesn't go for a skill round 1 on Mona, which is the big thing. I was like, what? Like, is bro good? Because that lets me dodge a swirl really, really easily. And it lets me play both of my Luminstones and activate them. Because I don't really care too much about a swirl on round 2. I can dodge it for the entirety of round 2 pretty well as well. I get my Luminstones up because I don't care about losing actions at this point. Like, there's really, he has no Hydra to threaten me with, like a swirl reaction. So I'm like, okay, I can go either Tartaglia or Kokomi. And I count my dice here, right? Like 2 Luminstones puts me at 4. Sealy, Chang, I'm back up to 4. And if I want to trigger the second Luminstone, I play Chang, or not Chang. I play Mao, and I'm back up to 4. So I had the option of either going Tartaglia or Beidou, and I opted to go Beidou just because on the start of round 2, obviously he's gonna skill, right? But again, I want Tartaglia to be able to stay in the active character spot uninhibited. So by having him end round 1 as active, it kind of prevents him from doing a lot of stuff freely round 2 because he has the threat of swirl. So it's better to go Beidou here and skill with her, even though the energy isn't as useful. Simply because just because of the way that the forced Mona skills kind of work. You'll see how it works out here in a moment.
All right, let's go.
So I get Rhythm, which is a really easy way to trigger the second Luminstone. I go for it, but I do end up wasting a die because I have a full support zone space. I don't want to waste any of my card draw here. I could have not triggered the second Luminstone. Because my thought process was, okay, I'm basically trading 1 die for 1 draw, and draw is super important for chaining Luminstones together. So like, even though I waste a die, like, the value of the card should be more. That was my thought process. Maybe some of you can provide your input. Was that a good play? Like, to waste the die from Lumenstone, but you advance your card draw by one, so you draw into, like, your win conditions more. I feel like it still is. It's still a good play. Like, you waste the die, but cards are really more important at this point in the game. Like, I really need to get that card draw going. He goes for a skill here. Obviously, I want to swap and avoid that swirl. Oh, we didn't even see it. Now, you guys might not believe it, but this guy got 8 usable. He got, like, it was like 5 Animo, like 3 Hydro or something. Like, he literally got 8 usable dice. I'm like, that's crazy, bro. He doesn't have to worry about tuning, and he still has the option. He pulls Liban again too. So, like, Mona skilling twice exactly is like the sweet spot, because you can just drop Liban, drop a Gamblers too, and then you just end your round. And you still have the option of, like, Gilded Lyre Song, though it's not as strong, because, like, you don't actually want Lyre. Like, okay, let's say you skill again, right? Therefore, if you go Gilded Lyre Song, Gilded for 3, refunds 2, you're at 3 again, you Lyre Song, you Gilded, put Lyre Song on again, and then you put Liban down. You be at 4 dice, and then you get 2 Omni from your Lumen Stones, but then you have 6 dice, and you have to use 3 of them, because 3 of them are going into Liban. So you're kind of at the mercy of your card draw. Like, you really want, like, a weapon to float those other 3 dice effectively, because you really don't want to skill again on Mona for, like, the 3rd time in a round. So, like, it would have been better if you did this Gilded Lyre Song thing first round, but he has the option of doing it on the 2nd round if he just loves high rolling even more. Like, what are the odds, bro? Double Lumen Stone, he had the trigger, he didn't get it though. He didn't see it though. Into Perfect Dice round 2. Like, okay, bro. But then he just drops Liban and he ends. He doesn't even play his Gamblers. And I mean, you can kind of justify Gamblers too, to be honest. Like, because maybe, although you're wasting the die, you do telegraph Gamblers. And you might want to, like, you know, have Gilded on your character first for the first few skills they do, and then have Gamblers later. But you also have Lyre Song to just take off the Gamblers and get, like, a free Gilded Dreams anyways. So I feel like he should have Gamblers here. But yeah, it's another similar situation where I'm swapping around his round to Mona, but this time I'm on Tartaglia, because I started Tartaglia on round 1 in the previous match, so he got applied with Hydra early, so I ended on Beto for that round 2, but now I'm on Tartaglia, and going Tartaglia is better, because now he can get his 2 energy while also dodging the swirl. I have 2 Hydro dice here. I want to tune for sure, because if I go for, like, if I can trigger Electro-Targed and Riptide, it puts Sayu 8, which is perfect health range, because it means Lotus doesn't save him from a Tartaglia snipe. So I definitely want to tune here. I normal first, just to not, like, telegraph stuff. I mean, he doesn't have any more action this round anyways, but I tune 2nd Gamblers, and I tune Calcs here, like, just because it's more efficient for Tartaglia to gain that energy, like, naturally, I guess. Like, I could keep it, but I was like, okay, like, if Mal can draw onto food, I'll get more dice early, and I really don't want to throw away Gamblers, because that'll also give me a ton of dice. Like, I'm fine just going, like, skill burst on Sayu here. Like, because if he goes Lotus, then Calx is useless. And even without it, I'm not too sad about going for an extra action. So I get the skill up here. Mona is already super low, 2 HP. It's like 2 more Electro-Charge reactions. It's enough for Beto to kill. It's enough for Tartaglia to kill. You get a very nice draw in Hunt pretty early, and Liban as well. But this guy's Lumenstone allergy actually infects me, and I play 2 cards, and I don't trigger my Lumenstones either. Now, here's the thing. If I had kept my rhythm from round 1, like, I would have been able to trigger both Lumenstones this round. But the thing with that is, like, Okay, so here's the way card draw works, right? Like when you have something like a Sealy trigger, or even just like a Strategize or a Chang, right? It draws 3 cards at once. You can't tell the order. They do get shown in a specific order. I think it's like right to left. I believe it was Hunt on the right. So I saw Hunt first come from my Sealy, but I don't actually know if Hunt was the first card I drew, or the second card I drew, or the third card I drew. And I drew Liben from the Sealy. So if I didn't play Lumen on round 1 to trigger this, I guess my deck would have been 1 card less thin. And it's possible that Liben was the third card that Sealy drew. So if I didn't play Rhythm, then Rhythm would not have drawn, I believe it was Calx. So the 3 cards I could have gotten from this Sealy would have been Calx, could have been Liben, Calx, Sealy. I don't know for sure, but it's like the worst case scenario is that I don't trigger that Lumenstone in round 1, and now I don't trigger either of them in round 2, so I'll have like a 2-3 Lumenstone, which is like kind of sus. So I don't know. It's like, oh well, you could have kept the Rhythm, but the Rhythm only mattered because I got also I think both the because I got the Gamblers as well for the free Rhythm, and I got the Liben. So if I didn't get either of those during this round, then Rhythm on round 1 was better. But it's the kind of thing where it's like you don't really know. So I think at the time, Rhythm was a more appealing play. But in hindsight, it's like, oh, well, I could have just kept it. But it's really impossible if you know that. You're making a bet. And you don't want to go for the unlikely option too much if it hurts your regular game plan by a lot. But yeah, it was really not necessary to play Liben or Gamblers here. Definitely a misplay, but I figure it won't matter like too much. Hopefully, because I have like cheap cards and like sleeve that I want to play. I want to play Mao. I want to play all the cards in my hand, so I'll probably be able to trigger Lumenstone regardless of not having Gamblers or Liben to feed it. But yeah, well, let's switch to his. Oh, you can't see what cards he drew. Let's see. I mean, we already saw his cards, so really the only cards he would draw are like the ones from the round and from the end phase, the 2 cards. My dice here are like okay. Actually, no, they're good because I already have melee mode up. So this is like what 3 normal attacks. I'm not really like I can tune for a burst pretty reasonably if I need to. So his Liben. Okay, I believe. Yeah, he got War Princess Lyre Song, Rhythm, and Gilded. Gilded is very good here when you have Lyre Song, and you even have Rhythm too. Rhythm is not very common in Mess. Usually it's Golden House, because you have 2 targets in Gilded Dreams and Wolf's Gravestone, and you can use it twice. But on the other hand, Rhythm doesn't take a space in your support zone, so you can be the judge of whether that's effective. But I feel like Mess doesn't mind too much about replacing, like, only getting 1 use out of Golden House. So usually it's Golden House, but he has Rhythm. And this Liben also draws his Sayu talent, because of course it does, and it gets him a good 1 cost to bounce Gilded with as well. In Sand King, I'm not salty, I promise. I'm just doing it for the video. I just think it's funny. Right? Like, because best players like always high roll, right? And then you actually see like this guy's high rolling, right? Like, you feel me? Okay. Anyways, yeah, he just starts doing his typical magic stuff. He doesn't bounce Gilded, he just decides to play it outright. And you do save 1 die by doing that. If you go for Sand King first, then you bounce it, and then you play Gilded, I think you spend 1 more die, but you draw 1 more card because this card gives you a card. This card gives you a card on play. But you already have like your Lumenstones to draw cards, and your Gilded will draw a card and trigger a reaction to Sayu, and you have her talent. So saving the Sand King was, I think, the right play here. You don't need that one extra card so desperately when you already have all these other forms of card draw that are more efficient. You guys leave it to me as well, which is it's nice. But he doesn't go for the right play here. What he should have done was swap to Eula and freeze Tartaglia. What that does is that it's especially good because he got Leave It To Me. Like of course he got Leave It To Me, right? But anyways, if he goes to Tartaglia, right? And he freezes her. He freezes him. She freezes him with Eula. Then I have to swap because I have 8 dice left. I want to use some of them. But then you can go for a fast swap into Sayu and swirl for guaranteed. So if he did that, I think my best play would be like Beto, swap to Beto after Tartaglia, right? To avoid the swirl. But then it's like, oh, well, if I swap Beto first, he can always just stay on Eula and skill again, and it's gonna do 6 damage, which is like not good. And then if I go to Kokomi, then he can go to, he just gets the swirl, and then it's like what, Kokomi gets swirled, Hydro still on Beto and Tartaglia. And then it, like, I don't know, he kind of puts himself in a win-win situation if he goes for Eula here, but he doesn't see it. I don't know if maybe, like, you know, in this, it is a tournament setting, so like there is like a little bit of nerves, so it's possible that he was just like, okay, I don't want to go for that unusual line, or maybe he just didn't even see. He's like, okay, I just need to get my Sayu to get a bunch of value here, but he doesn't see that that Sayu's gonna die here. He goes for leave it to me. I thought he was gonna like fix his mistake. Well, the thing is, he can't really do that. Because he doesn't have a second leave it to me, so it won't be as effective. But at the same time, it's like, even if you swap back to Sayu without a fast swap, like, I have to go to Tartaglia, but then he's weakened from the swirl. But he pre-plays leave it to me, and he just doesn't use it. So I'm like, oh, okay. I mean, you're treating someone, you know, you don't really need that. But yeah, I guess the other Sayu talent, because, you know, he just needed, you know, 2 more cards this round for free. Yeah, he needed it. And he gets his both 2 weapons here. If he had triggered Luminstone on his first round with that Gilded Lyre Song, you would have it before Sayu attacked, right? You'd have one of these 2 weapons. I don't know which one, but you'd have one of those 2. So that one misplay at the very start, not optimizing your Luminstone proc, it's coming back to bite him a little bit. So yeah. I have now a guaranteed kill on Sayu. Now this is one of those, like you think, okay, but you can calcs here, right? If you kept calcs, it would be good, but he doesn't have the Riptide on Sayu. So I still have to attack again anyways, which I'm fine with. I decide to, I think my Chang procs here too, right? Yeah, it does. So I play a few cards. I decide to play, I think I play Lotus afterwards, because he doesn't have a weapon on Sayu, so I'll block only 2 damage. I trigger my Luminstone, obviously. I attack first. So let's just watch this play out. So now his Sayu is vulnerable to Tartaglia's Burst. I decide to Lotus here, because I know for a fact that he has to hit. He has to go Eula. He has to go for the freeze on Tartaglia. He can't break the Lotus with Mona, because 1, I have Hydras to avoid a kill, and if he goes Mona, then I can just normal attack and Mona will die, and it'll give me another Gambler's proc. So I know that Lotus here is guaranteed to get like massive value. So I'm putting him I'm putting myself in a win-win situation where if he goes Mona, try and break my Lotus, I just get more dice, and if he goes to Eula to freeze me, I just block all the damage with Lotus Fire Crisp. I save Hunt. I could have played Hunt here before the Luminstone's activated. But my thought process was, it's like, okay, well, Eula's gonna have like a ton of dice to play with, right? So I want to have more dice in my hand to swap around his Eula, and then I can hunt reactively if I need to. So Morphosis gets 2 procs there. Swap the perspective here. He goes for, I believe that's, oh, he goes for Sand King first. And I think he bounces and goes for Gilded. He didn't really need to do that early. Could have hid the Gilded. That actually does matter because of the way the card works. Like, okay, you could hide the Gilded until the last second because the draw on reaction damage is only twice. So you can keep Sand King for like the first one. This is once per round. And then you equip Gilded on the second use. That way when you freeze Beta and you freeze Kokomi, you'll draw 3 cards instead of 2. We should have accelerated his draw a little bit. It's a little optimization. But at the same time, I mean, I'm pretty sure he could have... Actually, no, he didn't have tuning. I don't think he even... Because he used Animo Dice instead of his Omni Dice to attack with Sayu. So now he doesn't even have tuning as an option. What he should have done was use the Omni Dice, as strange as that sounds, and then tune reactively as you need to. And then you can optimize the way you thin your deck. He goes for a normal attack on Beidou. I was fully prepared to let her take the Grimheart boosted Ice Tide Vortex. Because with the auras and the way that Eula's kit works, the character that takes the burst will take more damage than if they took the skill. Like Eula would have dealt 6 to Beidou, 5+1 from the Grimheart, and then she was at 9, right? So she was at 9. That would put her at 3. And then if I go to Kokomi and he bursts, the burst will deal 3, 2+1 from Frozen. The 3 physical damage will shatter and deal another +2, so that'll do 8 damage to Kokomi.
Vengeance will be mine.
So I go for it. So that's why I swapped to Beidou first, even though it seems like the skill would do more damage. It doesn't actually deal more damage. And I happen to have 2 dice left over, so I can hunt. And that's a perfect float. I could have gone for Liven, but no. I already have Lumenstone, I have Strat to dig for treasures, so I don't need more cards. I need treasures in the deck first. So yeah, and the Hydra Res I used on Tartaglia earlier is what allowed Kokomi to survive, because before she was at 8 HP, and now she was at 9. So that was a very nice Hydra Res value there. He has to kind of thin his deck to avoid overdraw. So he goes for Lyre Song, Paimon, Wagner. And now I know for certain that Threat of Weapon is on the table. He has 2 copies of Wolf's Gravestone. Like, this is the kind of thing with running Wagner. It's like, Wolf's Gravestone is just so good. Like, the other weapons are kind of mid. So it's like, why not just run good card draw and then discount your weapon with, like, Courtyard or Golden House. So, like, these other two weapons, you just aren't worth running just to get Wagner up, right? But he has it in this deck, and he has Dunya too. Having Dunya is nice. I don't think the other guy had Dunya. If you're running Timaeus and Wagner, you probably should have Dunya Zod. But yeah, I think he overdraws by 1 because unfortunately he wasn't thinking far enough ahead to have tuning available as an option. So yeah, there's that. I think he burns Heart. Second limit to me is it's RNG, by the way, which card gets burned there. Well, either it's RNG or maybe it burns the first or second, but because you can't tell which card is the first or second, it might as well be RNG. So yeah. So there's his dice. I believe switch. He gets very good dice here too. 6 aligned is nice, and you have enough to kind of tune comfortably. I believe it was, chicken and the treasure. I decide, like, attacking with Kokomi here is kind of pointless. Skill is kind of pointless because the value is too delayed at this point. Like, normal attack on Kokomi won't do anything because, like, Beidou will not be able to avoid a freeze. Like, I can Tide Call her, but then she just gets frozen. So yeah, I did not want to attack with Kokomi, even though she's at 1 HP and I would love to sack her. That would also give him a Gamblers proc, so I don't really want to do that. I decided to burn my fast swamp here. Burn Liven because again, I'm not going to use him for this this round.
Come with me.
I go to Beidou. I might as well just burn my chicken on Beidou because it's just a free die. I decide to use the treasure as well because right now he's doing 6 damage. If he has a weapon, not if, I know he has a weapon, in the form of Wagner, it drew him a weapon. I don't know which one he has, but it's probably Wolf's Gravestone, right? So I treasure to stay out of that damage range if he goes for a kill with Eula here. So So that's why I played the treasure there. I do some more, you know, action card magic. I think I could have played the chicken a little earlier, and then my, because I believe my Lumenstone drew into this other chicken. So if I played the chicken first, Chef Mal could have drawn another food, and then would have Lumenstone would have had a higher chance of drawing into like treasures, for example. So that's a small optimization I could have made there to play the chicken before the treasure. Yeah. Alright. So I just normal attack here because skill will not work. Beta will get frozen. And it does like save her from taking 2 HP worth of damage, but at this point she is low on health, so I won't be able to switch her back safely in. Anyways, he plays another Leave It to Me, and he does it preemptively. He tunes one of his gravestones, tunes his talent, which is that's what you should do. That's a good play. Goes for card draw. I'm trying to trigger Lumenstone here. Dice are like not too much of a worry because you have like you have your Lumenstones and you have your gamblers. So spending the dice on card draw at this point in the game is worth it now. He goes for another normal attack. And right here, like it's uncommon, but I know that Courtyard won't win in the game. I have to be careful of Fresh Wind of Freedom. It's not common in Mono Eula Sayu because like being able to discount Wolf's Gravestone and get it on Sayu early while not hampering your ability to do actions for that round, it's a lot more effective than Fresh Wind of Freedom on round 2. Like you don't need Courtyard enabling that so much more damage. It's just so much better than Fresh Wind of Freedom. So that's why most decks run it. But I was like I'm like, okay, the only thing that bails him out of this is Fresh Wind of Freedom. So I'm thinking here, okay, I can keep Beta alive, right? If I maybe draw treasures. So I probably shouldn't have committed. I shouldn't have committed. Not probably. I should not have committed to that treasure early. I strategize and I get 2 more treasures. It's very nice. But using all these treasures here is a misplay. I was counting the damage and I was like, okay, well his skill does like 5, right? And then Beacon does, I'll hit him. He'll get the +1 from Beacon, so that's 6. I have Aura, that's 7. So I'm like, okay, I live this, right? But I forgot the +1 from the weapon itself. So I ended up just wasting 3 treasures, which was really not a good play. It could have gone really south if he had like the right cards in hand. Also like really weird tech cards. But I just wasted 3 HP from treasures, which is really unfortunate. And he does have gamblers, but it's like it's okay.
Need to end a few enemies.
I go to Tartaglia here because he's only got 4 dice left. He doesn't have. I know for a fact he doesn't have enough. He doesn't have enough bonus dice from hand to threaten Tartaglia anymore. He would need at least. He would need 7. But he already used both Gilded. He already used both Flower Song. He doesn't have Timaeus on the field. He already used 1 Orb Princess. So his best, like the most he can probably do is like double Orb Princess, but he's still 1 die short of being able to threaten Tartaglia. Obviously, you can have like a weird option like changing shifts, right? But I'm kind of just thinking like, oh, this is kind of Jover. And the thing with that too, even if he has enough dice, his characters are so low.
Need to end a few
to
enemies.
The point where it's like 2 skills. Tartaglia is guaranteed to get 2 skills off, even if he does get a freeze. And it's guaranteed to get a Gambler's proc. And I haven't lost yet. I have Woven Waters. So if he does get a freeze, I can just go Kokomi.
Vengeance will be mine.
He gets the burst off. But yeah, he is all out of dice. He's all out of HP. And normal attack.
I'll be
And
back.
that is a good game there. So yeah, that was another win against Mess. I would have liked to show a loss, but I actually didn't lose against Mess a single time. I fought it 4 times and I never lost. So that means this is a 100-0 matchup, right? 100-0. Yeah, because I don't know. Like, I kind of like to show close losses because it's like, oh, like, if Yasuo wins, it's like, oh well, maybe this is like a rose tinted lens, right? I think it felt a lot smoother than the other game, just because getting Tartaglia's burst out. Like in the other game, Sayu got like maybe like almost like 3 rolls off, right? Like maybe 1 swirl, but she got so much rolls off. Like Beto just was not able to threaten Sayu. And the only reason I was able to go Tartaglia early here is because he didn't use Hydro on round 1, so let me position myself in such a way that lets me have Tartaglia facing off safely against Sayu without the threat of swirl as much compared to the previous game where it was Beto against Sayu, and then I had to kind of slowly build up Beto's burst where her personal damage going into burst is also not as high. So yeah, I think the missed kind of Lumen proc at the start, it cost him. Like, if he had that kind of momentum, it would have been a lot tougher for me. And also like the swap from Mona to Sayu instead of Mona to Eula, and getting that kind of win-win play. He missed out on that as well. But yeah, again, it's like against like I guess a weird deck. Like, when was the last time you saw someone using Beto and Kokomi together? Right? Probably never. Probably never. But I do. So again, yeah, I was saying this earlier, like, sometimes you just want to go for those safe lines that, like, you know, okay, like, this is kind of like the standard, this is what works. But, you know, analyzing those positions and finding out their weak spots is one way you can kind of turn the tables, even with, I guess, not the most meta of decks. Being able to snipe Sayu here was really big, and he was not able to come back from that. So I was able to win that match as well. Unfortunately, I didn't lose, so yeah, I wasn't able to show that. But yeah, those were the matches against Mona, Eula, Sayu. Kind of give you an idea of, like, it's definitely not a favorite matchup. It's very tricky. But, you know, with the right kind of calls there and noticing kind of what your opponent is capable of doing, and understanding when it is the right time to disrupt their game plan, can let you get an edge there. And I was able to try to win against both of those decks in the tournament, which was really, really nice. Yeah, definitely a confidence booster there for sure. So that is that's the first part. I think this is going to be so long. Like, this is a different kind of commentary than I usually do. Like, I do have like a rough script where it's kind of like, oh, you should definitely talk about this because this is kind of neat. Like, for example, like the card draw order thing. Like, I want to make sure, like, okay, I want to have this down pat, make sure it's right when it goes into the video, and I don't want to forget to talk about it. But yeah, I don't expect anyone to just sit here and watch for 1.5 hours. I will have the raw replays down below as well if you just want to watch them without me yapping. But yeah, I wanted to kind of give my own input on the man behind the cards. How are you just the GOAT for beating Mess 4 times? I don't know, maybe it's because I'm just talented. But yeah, this is the first, I guess, part. It was against a few aggro decks. Well, one aggro deck, 2 matches against one aggro deck. Yeah, unfortunately, I don't know if I said this already, but I didn't get any, I didn't manage to save any replays against Fatuizon. That one, I think I won, I fought it 5 times, and I won 2, and I lost 3. But one of the losses was like extreme high roll, bro. I really wish I saved that one so I could just mauled here and be like, yo, I'm so unlucky. But yeah, I really wanted to show, there was like a replay I lost, it was so close, I really wanted to show that one, but unfortunately I didn't save any of the replays. So I'm not able to go over that matchup in a video detail, but yeah, that is it for this video. I don't know, I guess this is the first time I've really kind of made something like this, so I guess I say like and subscribe because it's YouTube. I mean, I upload like once every like 3-4 months though, so I don't know, subscribing probably won't do anything. But yeah, let me know if you want how this kind of rambly sort of analysis is. again, probably not the kind of thing you want to sit there and watch, but maybe there are key parts that you might like, or maybe timestamps or specific concepts might help to go through this big VOD. But yeah, that's gonna be it. See you in the next one.